Hello class, this is lesson 3-9 about how to apply rational number operations. If you recall with PEMDAS, we start with parentheses, followed by any exponents that we might find, and then we look for multiplication or division, whichever comes first, followed by addition or subtraction, whichever of those come first. So this is review, but now we're going to apply it to rational numbers. Evaluate AB plus C minus D if A equals 5/6, B equals -4/5, C equals 0.75, and D equals 1/3. So let's plug in what we know. 5/6 times -4/5 plus 0.75 minus 1/3. I can cross cancel the 5s, those will cancel each other out, and the 4 and the 6, I could divide them both by 2, and I'm left with -2/3, plus 0.75 minus 1/3. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to combine these two fractions because they have a common denominator of 3, so that becomes -1 plus 0.75. And -1 plus 0.75 is -0.25, which is the same as -1/4. And I'm done. So again, it's kind of up to you if you want to leave your answer as a decimal or as a fraction. Let's go ahead and do another problem. We're going to evaluate 2/5 times x plus y plus z on the outside if x is equal to 7/8, y is equal to -1/4, and z is equal to -2/3. Let's go ahead and plug them in. So I have 2/5 times 7/8 plus -1/4 plus, on the outside, -2/3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do parentheses first. I'm going to add those two fractions on the inside. And if I can change that 4 into an 8 by multiplying by 2, then I can add the fractions. So that's going to be 7/8 plus -2/8 on the inside. So when I add 7 plus -2, I get positive 5/8. And I'm going to multiply that by the 2/5 and add -2/3. When I multiply, I can cross out the 5s, and I can reduce the 2 and the 8. That's going to be 1/4 plus -2/3. So now I need to find a common denominator, which could be 12. And so now when I rewrite these fractions, I have 3/12 minus 8/12 is equal to -5/12. And that's my final answer. All right, we're going to do one more example just like this. Evaluate E plus 0.3 times the quantity F minus G. If E is -5/6, F is 1/3, and G is 3/4. So let's go ahead and plug in these values. So I have -5/6 plus 0.3 times 1/3 minus 3/4. Now let's remember we need the same denominator to do subtraction, which would be 12. So when I rewrite this, on the inside of my parentheses, I'm going to have 4/12 minus 9/12. Okay? And now when I rewrite this again, I'm going to actually change that decimal 0.3 to 3/10. And 4 minus 9 is -5, so that's -5/12. And now I can cross cancel the 3 and the 12, and also the 5 and the 10. So that's going to give me, when I multiply those, -1/8. Final step, to combine these, I need to have them with the same denominator. So I'm going to choose 24 as a common denominator. So that gives me -20/24 plus -3/24. And then when I combine those, I get -23/24. And that's my final answer. All right, we're going to end now with one final word problem. Natalie has a brownie recipe. She is using half the amount of walnuts Good job, Natalie. And then she's increasing the chocolate chips by 1/3. She wants to double the recipe. How many cups of walnuts and chocolate chips are needed? So again, if we're breaking this down, the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of walnuts, but I only want half of that. Okay, so I'm going to find half of the amount of walnuts. In terms of the chocolate chips, though, if I want an extra 1/3, that means I'm going to have one full amount plus another third. So really, I'm multiplying 1 1/3 times the amount of chocolate chips. Okay? So let's go ahead and fill in what we know then. According to the recipe, the walnuts is 1/2 of a cup. So I'm going to plug that in. 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. So that means for one recipe, it's 1/4 cup of walnuts. Moving on to the chocolate chips, I'm going to create an improper fraction, which would be 4/3 times the 3/4 cups of chocolate chips. And that's going to give me the number 1. So I need 1 cup for one recipe. But if I'm going to double this recipe, that means I'm going to multiply my values by 2. So at the end, I'm going to have 1/2 cup of walnuts when I multiply 2 times 1/4. Likewise, when I multiply 2 times 1, that just means I'm going to need 2 cups of chocolate chips. And that is it. So hopefully this real-life example helped you out. Let me know if you have any questions when you come into class.